Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. Let's get going, shall we? This is One Leeds. Welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, the Job Match Group, and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, the Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, the Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security, and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leads has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay, and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo. They're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leads, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. That is got to be the best intro on YouTube right now. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. My name is Conor McGilligan. This is One Leeds, and this is the Rumour Mill. Normally, we don't go on weekends, everybody, but we're working overtime. We're doing the shift right now. Normally, it is weekdays for the Rumour Mill. Maybe you'll get the Rumour Wrap on weekends, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to come on today. I'm going to come on. I'm going to chat to the One Leaders, and I'm going to give you your 6th installment this week of the Rumour Mill, everybody. There's a few of you in the building right now, probably not a lot of you expecting this, so shout out to all the regulars. I'm just giving you a bit of a bonus bit here. Likely this isn't going to be out tomorrow, so make sure you're getting your full fill with this discussion, debate, discourse throughout the video. As always, everybody, this is the only show of which we go on for around about 40 minutes to an hour every single day. Your Leeds United transfer dose. But if you'd like some general dose of all your football news, we've got videos and other bits on the second channel, all planned, all coming forward as well very, very soon. So make sure you're checking that out, everybody. The link is in the description below. If you fancy joining the Patreon, I keep plugging it, and there's loads of people who keep joining. Make sure you do so. We've got videos coming out this week. You can also join the Patreon WhatsApp group, which is unbelievable at this moment in time. I think we've got about 80 to 100 members. People are loving it in there. We talk every single day. So a little bit of bonus there if you want to check that out, everybody. So make sure you do so. Shout out to all of you. Luke's in the building. How you doing, Luke? Good to see you in here, pal. Good to see all the regulars in here as well. And some people who I've not seen as well, who maybe can't make the weekday bits. Tommy, listen, mate, I've got a Forest video coming on the other channel, mate, if you want to check that out and spread that around. Morning, Con. Hope you well, mate. Where's the new striker and keeper? It's a good question. Morning, Connor. We're moving very slow on signings. Walker to Burnley. Did Leeds try and get involved? We're probably going to touch on that on the second channel, mate, in real depth when it comes to Kyle Walker. And actually what I think of that as a signing, which might surprise you all. Morning, Connor. Glad to finally catch you on a stream. Morning, mate. No days off for Connor. I know, mate. Keep going. Keep going. Even when there's not that many rumors around, I will come around and try and make something up. But I'm not making this up. We're just discussing all these bits that we've got to talk about today. How do we join that? Link in the description below. Johnny, I know you'd love it over there, mate, for the Patreon. Hey, Connor. Hiya, mate. How's it going? Morning, Lee. How are you doing? What's going on? Good lad. Saturn. Yeah, do you know what, Tommy? I'm just not as biased as you, mate. I'm just a regular football fan. Sunderland with another signing. Yes, indeed. So we'll start off with this one, everybody. Want to kick off the rumour mill today. Vaja, Milinkovic, Savic. Apparently, according to a few sources, today is looking at a Champions League club. Now, what do we know about Michael Armstrong? Yerp, which is literally what this guy is. He's an absolute man mountain of a bloke, and he has a bald head and a beard, and he literally looks like the Michael Armstrong character from Hot Fuzz. So check that out. He's a monster, 6'8" between the sticks, really good handler, has been excellent from penalties this season as well when it comes to Torino. But he has a 19 million euro release clause, which apparently there are a fair few clubs, including Napoli, looking at. But Napoli don't see 19 million euros as a reasonable fee for Vanja. But apparently Leeds United are sniffing around. Now, it's not to say this is dead. It's not to say that this is done and Leeds are now not looking at this. But apparently from Milinkovic Savic's camp, according to Tutto Mercato, there is a lot of noise that he wants a Champions League move. Now, when you look at his age, now, if Vanja was 22, 23, which I believe he's probably never been 22, 23 in his life, because you know what, when people look like that, it feels like they've been like 27 onwards their entire life. You know, a big beard, just massive grizzly bear type goalkeeper. There's no way he's ever been 22 or 23. I think if he was born at a younger age, I think he came out with a beard. I think he's just spawned here from another planet. That's what I think. I think there's no chance that this guy has been younger than 28. So anyway, so Gears of War sort of, you know what I mean, for all you Xbox stands in the building. But yeah, so look, apparently he wants the Champions League. Apparently he's not interested in anything else when it comes to close to his camp as well. Baron Cross spoke about Milinkovic Savic yesterday, and with a little bit of a question, he said, surely with the amount of clubs interested, he will be looking at going to a Champions League club. So I believe that is off the cards. But look, what date are we on? The 5th of July. I would love to do a comparison right now to what Leeds were like when we first went up in terms of the amount of signings we brought in. I bet it wasn't that much different, you know, because I know there's a lot of people having kittens right now about Leeds United and the situation that we're in terms of not bringing players in. And we've seen Burnley and Sunderland doing bits, but we have brought in Jacobiel, we have brought in Bornau, we have brought in other players as well when it comes to Nemecha. And maybe when you looked at Burnley and Sunderland at that moment in time, they were thinking, oh, Leeds are doing a bit of business, so that we have to react. And they have reacted and they've done well. I think to a certain level, anyway, to a certain degree. But yeah, I get why Leeds fans are getting slightly impatient right now. Kim says the best show on YouTube, a Leeds show on YouTube, is back. I hope that we get some midfield and attacking transfers done soon. What do you think, Connor? Shout out to you, Kim. I see you in here every day, buddy. And I notice everybody, all the regulars in here every single day from 10 a.m. And just to give you guys a little bit of a update when it comes to the room mill, this won't be stopping. So when we do get back to the regular season, I think I'm going to do something like a Leeds United, like maybe news show or an update show when it comes to injuries and talking points around the club. So we're going to be carrying on at 10 a.m. every single day. I think the momentum that we've built up now with the rumor mill has been unbelievable, and you guys are thoroughly enjoying it. So yeah, we are going to carry that on when the season starts, which is hopefully something that you guys will enjoy in terms of continuity. I know you love consistency. I know you love routine. I do too. Morning, Connor. Love your content. Watch each week. Thank you so much, Howard. Top man. James says hot take, but honestly, I'd rather have Bogle on the right than an aging and pay past his prime Walker. Call me. Should we talk about it? Should we talk about Kyle Walker? No, we'll leave it for the second channel. We'll leave it the second channel. Alistair says, caught you live. Very good morning to you, Con. Shout out to you, James. You are a one Leeds addict. Yeah, I think you all are. Inject it in your veins, everybody. Inject it in your veins. But yeah, so when it comes to Vanja, we'll have a move on from that. We'll have a move on from that for me. Dan says, I have to admit, I had my first wobble yesterday. Not sure the window going how the 49ers thought. I don't think it's too bad, mate, if I'm honest with you. I think I've had a wobble as well. I'll be brutally honest with you, and I'm trying to be the calming influence over here. But I've had a tiny wobble the other day, and I'm sure Gable, when we do the hard line on Sunday, Gable will talk to you guys about that. But yeah, it wasn't anything where I'm distinctly worried, but I think sometimes we mentioned this yesterday. I'd love to just be at a point where Leeds kind of just moved really quickly, really, really quickly. And obviously, with what Farker was saying, by 2 days' time, we wanted the bulk of his signings, and we've only got 3 in, which isn't a problem. But it would have just been nice to be really, really aggressive and being at that point. Because we've still got so much to do. You know, as a promoted team, we're all very, very aware that it's not like we're a sustained Premier League team now, of which Leeds are not having to do that much, and we can bring in a few bodies. Although in the Premier League now, you need to continuously improve every single season. So it's not like, you know, it just feels like we've got a lot to do, a heck of a lot to do, whether or not it's 8 or 9 bodies across the squad, which I think it should be. And it is very much like you're obviously seeing these rumors and seeing the rumors with Leeds being quashed and all this sort of stuff. The context with it all is, Dan and others, is that this could a lot of the time be agent talk. And a lot of the time, Leeds, like the 49ers do, are probably moving in a little bit of silence in the background. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But yes, it is slightly frustrating that maybe we're not getting more first teamers in. And I would say that I'm a little bit like, right, okay, so we've got Bornau in. We know Bornau's a rotation player. That's distinctly obvious. You got Nemecha in, rotation player, obvious. And you brought Jacobiel in, your number 1 centre back target. And Jacobiel came in, what, two and a bit weeks ago now? So I am kind of doing what you guys are doing, and I do this every single day. So I'm like, right, are we gonna, even if it's just Gabby Goodmanson, but you saw Gabby Goodmanson back in training with Lille the other day, which is fine. Negotiations will be going on in the background when it comes to Gabby Goodmanson, and you are kind of just sitting around going, all right, Leeds, at any moment now, this would be nice. You're getting obviously Burnley linked with Juve and obviously signing Kyle Walker and etc. etc. So there's movement there with Leeds. It does feel like it is just it's kind of like secondary, third rumors and stuff like that, of which we're not really sure and we're not really kind of convinced on as well. We've got some that we're going to speak on in this video that might be going somewhere, might not be going somewhere, but that is the whole thing of the room mill. It's just discussing all of these rumors and thinking, would you like them and are they really that accurate? If we're being obvious. But my whole life and your whole life has been Leeds United doing things sort of last minute. So there we go. Just having a quick look, everybody. There's 689 of you, just 700 of you in the building. We've got 188 likes. Do us a favor, slap a like on the video. We had, I think, about 1,700 likes yesterday, which is unbelievable. We're always trying to hit that 2K mark as well if we can. So make sure you do so. Okay, Mark says, morning, Connor. Don't you think we should have kept and got new, more experienced director of football? Yeah, I mean, there is something in that. There is something in that. It is Underwood's first campaign when it comes to recruitment. Obviously, he's made his way up and he will be tested. That is the risk that the 49ers have made with someone like Adam Underwood. It's a bit of a risk, isn't it? He's never been in this role before, but he has learned under the likes of, Steinson and Hammond and Co and stuff like that. So apparently he was very, very impressive when it came to Underwood. He's very calm, he's very measured, and people do make their way up. Even when you look at management, you look at someone like Keith Andrews. Keith Andrews has been Brentford set piece coach for a year under Thomas Frank, and now he's the Brentford manager on a 3-year contract. So you can be at other roles and you can be highly impressive and almost have an interest in doing something else and then be promoted. And especially if you've got all the traits, the characteristics, when you've got the nuance, when you've got the innovativeness to maybe be able to scout in a different way to other departments, you've got a real aptitude and a real sort of transitional few personality characteristics to be able to go into a new role, which Underwood, according to Athletic, clearly has. So, and same with Keith Andrews, and going from a set piece coach to a manager, Premier League manager. So, you can do that. So I'm not disheartened on Underwood whatsoever, but I do get the concern. I do get the concern to a certain extent. I do understand that, of course, and I get why people are a little bit touchy when it comes to it. Okay, let's get to Nuno Tavares. So Nuno Tavares is at Lazio. This one's confused me a little bit. Now let's touch on the basics of Nuno Tavares. Now, he's been rumored with Leeds now for a couple of weeks, and there's been Leeds and West Ham and I've not really touched on it because I don't really understand why he's been consistently rumored, and I'll get onto this in just a little bit. Lazio would be looking for 21 million euros, pounds, that is actually 21 million pounds, which is a hell of a lot of money. And the reason behind that is because Arsenal will get 33% of whatever that transfer fee is, because obviously he was formerly of Arsenal. Some reports are saying 40% Arsenal will get from that. 30 matches, defensively decent, but he is more of your junior Firpos. I'd see Nuno Tavares as much more of a left wing back than a full back. Bombs on forward. He's got the most assists in Serie A this season. He's got 9, which is staggering for a fullback at the top level. He's playing in one of the top 5 leagues, which is attractive. I just always thought, when obviously he had appearances, didn't he, for Forest and Arsenal, once again, I just thought he got caught out way too many times defensively. It wouldn't make any sense for me coming to Leeds United in a season of which we're trying to effectively play a little bit of a low block. Input our style, don't get me wrong, but play a little bit more of a low block. I don't know why we'd go for someone who's very, very similar to that of Junior Firpo when it comes to just bombing on forward and not being great positionally. I think in a Leeds side, he gets absolutely mullered. I'll be honest, Nuno Tavares, I think this will be a poor signing for Leeds United currently. I think he's got a lot of ability. I think he's got a lot of an upward trajectory, and I think he'll have a good career, and he's having a good career. But I think in this moment right now for Leeds United, what do we need? And I would much rather go down a Josh Doig route or a Gabby Goodmanson route. I would not want to go down a Nuno Tavares. I need a defender who is more of a left back and a right back, if let's say we went on the other side as well, as opposed to a left wing back and a right wing back. I don't want that as such right now. I need Leeds to dig in. I need Leeds to be good defensively. and then kind of hit teams on that transitional moment. I've made a video on Nottingham Forest, which is going to be going live on the second channel very soon. And I do like what Nottingham Forest have done in terms of just lay down that blueprint for a systematic sort of way of which teams can play if they get the right profiles and bodies in, sitting in a mid to low block and then just absolutely blitzing teams on counter attacks. And I want Leeds to be like that. And Nuno Tavares could definitely impact that, of course, and be a real positive aspect in terms of that front. But when you look at players, let's say we're talking about Forest like Nico Williams and Ola Aina and players like that, they defensively are very good as well. Very good in their individual duels, very good in the air. And first and foremost, don't really make that many mistakes. I'm not sure of Nuno Tavares at all in the Premier League, to be honest with you. I think it'd be a baptism of fire for him, and I don't want us to go for that profile. And just to add to that as well, obviously Arsenal's sell-on clause, which will make Lazio ask for a lot more money now, and which is what you see. Serie A clubs don't normally ask for that much money when you're looking at players. And we've spoken about Tim Weah, we've spoken about Yildiz, sorry, we've spoken about multiple players in Serie A, of which these clubs are offering them for basically free when it comes to a financial package of which Premier League clubs can afford. Them offering that much is because Arsenal have a sell on for him. Now, what I don't understand about this is what I don't understand, and please let me know in the comment section below if it's different in Italy, but I don't think it is. Now, Lazio have had him on a loan to an obligation, right? So they've just signed him a month ago. Now, from what I understand, this means that he's locked down until 2026 in terms of Leeds being able to sign him. So in the January or the June, the summer months next year, because he's only signed a month ago. So Leeds can negotiate in the background, but when it comes to an actual official transfer, I don't think Leeds could do this anyway. So I'm really confused as why this has even been a conversation when it comes to Leeds United. Why are Leeds been linked with Nuno Tavares? Is it just lazy journalism? Presumably so, because if they've just signed him on an obligation a month ago, Leeds can't officially sign him unless we can, but that would be out of the parameters of possibility when it comes to Premier League signings anyway. Serie A I don't think it's any different. So yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me whatsoever, that one. So Andy's in the building. Hi, Andy. Good to see you in here, buddy. Morning, Connor and Leeds troops. I'm very pleased Burnley have got Walker. We've sorted our defence early with the signings. Hartman and Axel too. Still loads to do to be competitive. Andy, normally me and you agree, buddy. I am going to push back on you with Walker, mate. I don't think that's a good signing at all. I really don't, mate. And I'm gonna get into it, but I don't think that's a good signing for you guys whatsoever. I will be going for someone. Look, I understand. I think the position. This is really, really key when it comes to Leeds, when it comes to Burnley, when it comes to Sunderland. Where we are, what we're doing in terms of having to get out of this spot right now. Kyle Walker signing for Everton is extremely different to Kyle Walker signing for Burnley. Extremely different. I actually mentioned him as being a good signing for Everton. It is a completely different situation signing for Everton right now to signing for Burnley right now. And it's because of the situation we're going to be in. I called it on Twitter the other day, Rio Ferdinand to QPR 2.0. That's how I feel with that sign. And that's no disparaging comment on Burnley whatsoever. Okay. I think Hartman, Axel, decent signings. I think Burnley are going to go with a little bit more astute signings as well, even more astute signings. But I'm not sure that is a good signing for Burnley whatsoever. I think his mobility is completely off. I think he's lost so much when it comes to pace and actual reading of the game, especially if you read reports in and around AC Milan. And the situation Burnley are going to be in is very different to what he would have been in when it comes to Everton. And I thought Everton were going to pick him up, to be honest with you. But yeah, to Burnley, nah, not for me. Not for me, mate. I don't think it's a. Course, it's smart, Tommy. And if Leeds had got him, mate, presumably it'd have been a terrible signing, mate, from you. Walker, not a good signing. Will raise their levels. It just depends, mate. It's very, very dependent with Kyle Walker. Experience, leadership, 100%. But I'm talking about on the pitch in a Burnley side. In a Burnley side fighting relegation. It's very, very, very different. And that's why I keep comparing him to Everton. It's a completely different standard of signing for what both of their objectives are. For me, I don't think in a low block Burnley side this works whatsoever. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion. You are deluded. You don't lose pace. Okay. Ooh, great comment there, Craig. Oh, yeah, that's right, Craig. Nobody loses pace. Right. I think that's the worst comment I've ever received. You don't lose pace. I wonder what I'd do against my 21-year-old self. Would I beat my 21-year-old self in a race? Don't think I would. I don't think you. And I am 31 now, so there we go. That once again, don't get rattled by an opinion, guys. It's just an opinion. It doesn't make it right. But shout out to Craig, who's clearly a little bit vexed by that comment. Let's move on. Joshua Sargent. Couldn't find him on my data package, so I had to put Joshua Sargent in. Okay, let's move on. Now, the Pinkun are reporting this one, a very, very highly reputable source when it comes to Norwich City. They reported around about an hour ago that Leeds and Burnley are monitoring Josh Sargent. Now, we heard of this last night. The Pinkun, very, very, as I said, very, very reputable source this morning. It is potentially. I heard you run faster as you age. Dan says I'm 40 and fit, but I've lost. Like any other comment, any other, it can be anything else, but you don't lose pace. Is anybody? Should we all go out and race our grandparents and see what happens? I might go home and race my old man. But we'll have to wait and see. Listen, don't get upset when it comes to Kyle Walker. I just don't think in a Burnley fight against what's going on right now, it's a good signing. That's my take on it, and we'll get into it more on the second channel. Okay, so yeah, very reputable source. Burnley and Leeds are monitoring. Apparently, when it comes to Burnley, the reason they're interested, obviously, is because they're looking at potentially adding to the Zian Fleming conversation up there. But also, apparently, Ashley Barnes is a really good friend of Josh Sargent as well. And there's some communication there. Burnley fans, Andy and co, let me know in the comment section below if you'd welcome someone like Josh Sargent. Now, the interesting thing about, in my opinion, why he is leaving Norwich is Norwich are actually chasing a Danish centre forward at this moment in time called Kvistagaarden. Now, he looks very decent, by the way. Frankfurt and West Ham are apparently all interested this window. But for whatever reason, and this is, how kind of football rumors work, maybe West Ham and Frankfurt were once looking at him or have once maybe had a little conversation about him, but then apparently they then want him. Look, rumors, agent talk, they basically drag clubs in. We know that as Leeds United fans. We get dragged into every single rumor going, and this could be another one right here. But Norwich is talking about 11 million quid signing this guy, which is fantastic. When it comes to them, they brought in obviously Eurosec not long ago as well for about 6.5 million quid as well, spending a bit of money. Now, the interesting part of this is I think this now means that Josh Sargent is going to leave Norwich City. That's what I believe. Wolfsburg, Leeds, Burnley, all interested. Now, the similarities and the reason why I'm saying this is because Kvistgaarden basically emulates everything that Josh Sargent does. He's a good link player. He's good in the air. He's a dynamic presser, and he's a bit of an inconsistent finisher. But he's basically a lot of what he is Josh Sargent. So for me, and the versatility across the front line, which obviously Sargent is as well, left, right, centre forward. So yeah, now let's go through. And Sargent's always been a name of which has been linked with Leeds United. It's always been a link with Leeds. Now, why is that? Obviously, I think a lot of it is the gaffer. I think that's abundantly clear. But I think the interesting part of this is how he fits in at Leeds United if we are to go and get him. Okay, so now what I can tell you for a fact is when Josh Sargent was when he first went to Norwich, he wasn't a Webber man. Webber wasn't sure on him. The man who pushed the signature was Daniel Farke, and that is 100% fact. Farke wanted him. Farke got him, and you could say when it comes to Norwich, he's been a success, and Farke got it bang on. Really, obviously coming from Werder Bremen, another Bundesliga player of which we know we do look at when it comes to the gaffer as well, because he's got a big interest and understanding and knowledge base in when it comes to the Bundesliga. What do we know about Josh Sargent? Elite work rate, fantastic work rate, dynamic, presses, causes errors at the back for the opposition side. Played at the top level as well. He's played in the Premier League before. I know a lot of you guys, albeit not been great when it comes to Sargent, but you guys are very, very keen a lot of the time on having a Prem-proven player. He's not proven as such, but he has played at the top level, which some Leeds players haven't, of course. I think works well in a variety of systems. I think he could play in a 3-5-2. I think he could play in a 4-4-2, and I think he could play in a 4-3-3 as well, because he can play anywhere in and around that front three. And obviously, Leeds play a 4-2-3-1 right now. I actually probably think that might be one of Sargent's weakest, in my opinion. I know he's played there for Norwich. I know he's played there under Daniel Farke, but I think he'd work extremely well and even better with another front man or someone just off him. That's where I think he'd work a little bit better. Now, things to bear in mind as well. Things to bear in mind when it comes to Josh Sargent. Leeds are going to be playing a certain way this season, right? We're going to be playing a direct style of football. We are bringing profiles in, Bornau, Beal, Nemecha to fit that style of play. And I like what Leeds are doing now. You look at Anton Stack as well, someone who Leeds have been chasing, 6'4". Leeds, a lot of the time right now, it feels like when you're looking at this market, are looking to compete in that midfield, combative, be strong, but they're trying to bring in personnel who are athletic and physically capable to meet the demands of the Premier League, which I think is really important. And Leeds are doing a good job there. The most successful side in the last 6 that have gone down, in my opinion, have actually been Luton Town. The reason behind that is because Luton brought in a physical level of player that could compete in the Premier League. What Luton missed out on was the technical aspect as well. But they had Ross Barkley putting in balls from the right-hand side. They had Alfie Doughty putting balls in from the left-hand side. Adebayo in the middle. Morris in the middle. If they were doing set pieces, there was Mengi in there, Bell. They were excellent at being able to get those incremental and marginal gains when it comes to being physical and athletic and being powerful. They just missed that technical aspect across the pitch. So I think that's what Leeds are trying to emulate, because that's probably been one of the non-expected success stories when it comes to Luton. We all thought Luton would be relegated in about the first 3 weeks. Obviously, that's not possible. It's sarcasm. But yeah, there you go. You get what I mean. And they put up a good fight. So I think Leeds are trying to emulate that, but obviously bringing the technical level and a higher level of personnel. Now, so transitionally, I think he helps. I think he's very good in the air, Josh Sargent. Very, very good in the air. And he's a good competitor. With Premier League centre-backs, I think Josh Sargent would put in a really good shift. And I think Leeds will be able to go over a press, of which you're going to get a lot of Premier League teams putting on Leeds' backline and goalkeeper. I think we'd be able to go over the press. And I think Sargent would do well in the air. And I think a lot of the times as well, when you're kind of maybe looking at a Beto, when you're looking at potentially even like a Promise David, players like that, I think Josh Sargent is a little bit more mobile and a little bit more quicker. I'm not saying he's better in the air, but I think he's more mobile and more quicker to some of the Leeds links that we've had. So, and the thing is, what we've got to look at as well is at 25 years of age, there is a sell-on clause. There will be sell-on value. And worst case scenario, Leeds were to go down, Josh Sargent has a proven record in the Championship, of which that is exactly what we've been discussing when it comes to Gustavo Hamer. And we can't just move the goalposts because it's Josh Sargent. Okay. You know, if we were to go down, Josh Sargent would do well for Leeds in the Championship or would go for a good sell-on fee. Okay. So they're the pros. Let's move on to the cons. Now, for me, let's just have a sip. I'm going to let that marinate. And whilst we do that, we're going to check the likes. We've got 1,000 of you in the building, everybody. I think we've got 200 likes. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. I know it's a weekend. So, for me, the cons are he's not clinical enough. And the stats will show you that he's been getting better, much better, but he's not clinical enough when you look across the board. I don't look at Josh Sargent and think he's a natural finisher. Me and Callum Fowler had a bit of a debate on the second channel. Callum reckons Josh Sargent is the best striker in the Championship. Okay. Now, I don't disagree with him as an overall package. I think Sargent's got a lot to his game. Okay. But I think the most crucial aspect of a striker is being able to be a top finisher, you know, in your respective league. I think Peru is a much better finisher than Josh Sargent. Much better. I think he's a better ball striker. I think he's more composed in the situations. And I think he's less rash than what Sargent is. And there's an inconsistency with Josh. I think there's a streakiness with Josh. And I think Leeds need a little bit more of a well-rounded package. Now, if you could combine Sargent and Peru, that's a nice little profile. It's a very nice little profile. Something to bear in mind as well, injured in 23-24, injured in 2024-25, albeit not being the whole season been out. That's something to consider if Leeds are going in with a big budget. I think the only way I would take Josh Sargent would be if he's a number 2. But I then look at it and I think, what happens with Peru? If you're keeping hold of Peru, then what? Because Peru's not going to be third fiddle, is he? Third fiddle to Josh Sargent. I just don't think he is. I just don't think that's something that Leeds would move on. The big thing here, everybody, is Farker loves him. So the Pink 'Un reporting this today is big from their Norwich side that Leeds and Burnley are monitoring him. I think he'd be a really good signing for Burnley. I think he's an improvement on what they have. I'm not sure Josh Sargent, A, is a needle mover for Leeds, and B, is an improvement on Peru. I think overall, you tick a lot of the boxes when it comes to the profile of what you want. I think his link-up play is better than Peru. I think his aerially is better than Peru. I think he's a better presser than Peru. That's not Peru's game. But I think finesse and finishing, I'd much rather have Peru in front of goal. So I don't know how that would work. There's a lot of people saying that they'd have him as a number 2 at the minute. I don't know if that would work, to be honest. I don't know how we'd be able to wangle our way around that in terms of just having that player in there who is going to, be able to give us that upside. Okay, let's have a look at what you guys are saying. There's a lot of anti-Sargent stuff here. Give Sargent, says Kim, to the Black Cats. We've gone from Muniz to Sargent. Daniel, look, mate, if that is the case, I think if he's your number 9, you're going down. I think if he's your starting number 9, but I think also keeping goals out of the back is really key. And Leeds staying in the division, I think more important this season is going to be able to keep these defensive records and keep it tight at the back and be able to nick a goal. If you can get real technically quality players in around someone like Josh Sargent, he could facilitate Leeds getting up the pitch a little bit more, and that might be a little bit more important than him scoring goals. That sounds mental. But just think about Leeds getting out from the back and the actual style of play that Leeds are going to encompass and be involved in when it comes to a low block, a mid to low block, getting out to Josh Sargent, getting Leeds up the pitch, nicking the odd goal and keeping it tight at the back. He might be a real facilitator in that. Maybe we don't look to him for goal after goal after goal after goal. Our problem is Farker can't adapt to a different formation. Well, he's going to have to, mate. He's going to have to. I think the best side that Leeds United are going to be looking at right now for me is, obviously he's got involved a little bit of pragmatism here, but I'd love Leeds to go to like a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. I think it facilitates Beal, Strauch, and Rodon together. Yeah, I'd like us to do that. I really would, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Wayne says, Connor, who do you rate more, Sargent or Matteo Joes? I think it's unfair, Wayne, because it's obviously going to be Sargent, isn't it? Because Sargent's 25 years of age and has had X amount of years playing football. There's more evidence there, mate. So you'd probably have to go with Sargent, obviously, in that one. No to Sargent. Sunderland just signed Talibi, great winger from Belgian Pro League. 23 million would have been a great option for us. Look, we can't. I've said this before. Like we can't. We can't deny the fact that they're having a really good window so far. Yeah, they are. They are. And this is why I was saying on multiple streams, I'm not gonna say, ha ha, I told you so. It's not the case. But all I was getting when I was saying Sunderland are going to be a problem, okay? And this is said miles before anything happens, but all I was saying was, a lot of people saying, look, Connor, Sheffield United are going to be, look at where Sunderland are. They finished X amount of points behind Sheffield United. It doesn't matter. We've just been talking about Luton. Luton went up through the playoffs and they give it the best shot when they're in the Premier League out of all of them, in my opinion, okay? They're in the playoffs, I believe, against Coventry. Okay. Sunderland finishing X amount of points behind Sheffield United doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, So wanting Sunderland in the Premier League because they finished lower than Sheffield United, I think is nonsense. Sunderland have a big pull. Okay, that's one thing. Not only that, but they've got a manager who has a large array of connections. They have an ownership and recruitment model which has now been refined for in around 3 and 4 years. Obviously, they were preparing for this, but it is their first season. There's no guarantees that these players hit the ground running, But these were always going to be a problem. And we mentioned it on One Leads. All the OGs will remember this. And it was mentioned on the second channel too many times. These were always going to be a problem because of the recruitment, consistent recruitment sort of strategy under KLD, which has been really successful. Really, bear in mind, this was a team who not long ago were in League One, and you look at some of the caliber and personnel, how young they were. They shouldn't have been able to punch Sheffield United in the mouth like they did. And they didn't just do it once, by the way. They beat them at the Stadium of Light and were unlucky at Bramall Lane. Okay? Against the parachute payment side. And they were really close with us till the end. They shouldn't have been able to do that, Sunderland, with the resources that they have. So these were always going to be a bit of a problem in the market. I didn't expect them to be this aggressive, but they're always going to be a problem. EPL Rally says Labrise is a nobody. Well, he's not in the youth circuit, mate. He's not in the youth circuit whatsoever. Go look at his career. So yeah, they are going to be a problem. We're all very very aware of that. And just for EPL Rally, just when we're talking about that, and I know a lot of managers have a lot of connections, but the only reason Lefay has actually gone to Sunderland and could be a success, I'm not sure he will be, but it's because of Regis Labrise. You know, Noah Siddiqui, if you read between the lines of what he said, has been convinced by Regis Labrise. So there is a pull there with that manager, 100%. So um, but yeah, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. Sunderland are going to be a problem, 100%. They are going to be a problem, but it is what it is. They're improving the floor of their team. They are, and they're doing a good job. So then we've got to just do what, stay in our lane and do our business as well, of course. Okay, let's move on, shall we? It's a bit of a heated chat this morning, isn't it? Robin Zentner, maybe it's a weekend. Robin Zentner. Okay, this is a goalkeeper that Baron Cross dropped last night. Obviously, he's mentioned that we're interested in Lucas Pelly. The Leon goalkeeper would be an excellent signing, but Robin Zentner as well would be a really good signing for me as well. Bo Henriksen's Mainz have been outstanding this year, really, really good, and obviously now involved in the European circuit. Zentner, 32 appearances, a 72% save percentage. He faced 139 shots and saved 100 of them. Which is unbelievable. 9 clean sheets for Mainz this season as well. Dominant aerially. Handling is exceptional as well. Leader from the back, 30 years of age. Has been at Mainz, it feels like, about 15 years now. But he was at Holston Kiel before as well. Maybe on loan. I can't quite remember the trajectory of his career, but it does look like he's mentally tough as well. Now, he has been, I think it was against Bayer Leverkusen, where he's made he's made a big error. You know, when the ball, you might not have seen the clip, but when the ball left him and he was looking a little bit further forward, it was a famous clip that's gone online. He's looking further forward and the ball has just left him, and he goes, "Oh my god!" and has to go back and save it. So error prone potentially. And he's not a great passer out from the back. He's not exceptional and adept to that, really. So that's something to bear in mind as well when it comes to Zentner. But is that what Leeds are looking at right now? If Leeds are interested in him and his passing out from the back isn't great, of which that was one of Ilan Mele's big hallmarks when Bielsa had him in, it was his passing out from the back. That just shows what type of team Leeds are going to be next season. It's not going to be about playing out from the back. If Leeds get someone like Robin Zentner in and he's got a 58% passing accuracy out from the back, which he has in the Bundesliga, and now he's coming to a more aggressive league and a pressier league and a more dynamic league, if he's not great at passing out from the back, that insinuates one thing for me: going long. Okay. So this is why I keep saying we've got to look at the style of play, what Leeds are going to be playing. The style of play, what Leeds are going to be looking at this season is so important, because if we're getting someone like Zentner in, we're not relying on him playing out from the back. And that's something really key to bear in mind as well. Gary McNamara says, make sure you hit the like, guys. It's absolutely free. It is indeed, my friend. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see what a lot of you guys are saying as well. I reckon Muric will be a good keeper. Connacht Bournemouth took Max Aarons from Leeds United knows, but Leeds took their time and got Jaden Bogan. Exactly, Michael. Exactly. I think what I would say is I think some of the rationale from this is a bit mental. It is the 5th of July. Okay, it's the 5th of July. We've still got 3 signings in. I don't understand why it's only Leeds. When you look at the rest of the Premier League, there's not been mass deals. I mean, mass deals when it comes to Wolves, West Ham, etc. I understand we've got more to do, and that's where I agree. We have got more to do. But what I would say as well, when it comes down to it, is, you know, I've said this on loads of room mills before, that a lot's can happen in a week. A lot can happen in a week, and Sunderland are the prime example of that. The prime example of that. So, yeah. But let's just have a quick look at what Twitter is saying when it comes to the goalkeeper. The Sunderland player. Has this been officially announced? You guys, I'm sure, will let me know. Spending a lot of money, aren't they? They're spending a lot of money. Um, Here we go. Yeah. Chemsedine, Talbot, Sunderland. Here we go. Medical right now for the Moroccan midfielder. It's Fabrizio Bomba. Deal agreed with Club Bruges for 23 million euros. Package add-ons included. Documents been exchanged. All set for announcement soon. Deal in place, as Sasha Tavaleri reported. Yeah, yeah. This is mm, yeah. It's decent. I think. Yeah. Let's be honest. It's a tough one. But I think the don't get me wrong. I agree. I agree with everybody. I agree with all of you. What my frustration is partially, I've said this at the start. If you have just joined, welcome. But I was saying it to everybody at the start that my slight frustration is that we've not brought more first teamers in right now. When Daniel Farker said he wanted the bulk of his signings in by the seventh, he obviously meant first teamers. I understand that he maybe shouldn't have said that because it's putting added pressure. But we know Farker's a talker. We know that. But I don't disagree with him. I think kind of by the seventh, you do want a big portion in. And the rhetoric before the window or towards the end of last season was Leeds are going to be aggressive in that market early. We're going to be. Do you remember that was the whole thing, wasn't it? We're going to be aggressive early. It doesn't feel like that yet for me. So I am kind of sat there like that, just sort of waiting for the first team players to come in really because Yaka is top target, brilliant. But yeah, there is a comparison there with Sunderland. I think probably a little bit more than the rest, maybe because of the club size. I do look at Sunderland and I think we've got less to do than them. I think we've got a much better, but I think we've got a better Premier League starter set than what they have. So I think they've got more to do, but they are being very aggressive right now, very aggressive in the market, and they're spending big money. So fair play to them. I think they've replaced Bellingham very, very well. Obviously, Lafay's coming in a permanent, which I think, but Talby coming in as well looks like a decent profile there as well. So, and they're looking at Petrovic, aren't they? Still some rumours saying that Petrovic is keen on doing Sunderland as well. And an alternative for that is Lucas Perry as well. So I don't know. It's a lot to consider. A lot to consider. What I will say is, like Sonny said as well, they've got to be careful during that AFCON. Is this guy Moroccan as well? Is he Moroccan? If he is Moroccan, yeah. What I will say is when it comes to some of these players, I think we saw this with Burnley when they came up under company, when they just had an absolute mass of really young, technically good players, especially out wide. When it comes to a low block, which all of us are going to have to play, you're going to have players who can dig in. I don't think you can have luxury players. This is why I was speaking about Oscar Gluck. I don't think you can have luxury players. I think you've got to have players who are technically gifted, but you've got to have players who are more runners, more athletic, more physical. Once again, as I say, Luton have proved with players who can, technically good enough to be able to get to that level, put the ball in the box, but can fight as well. I don't think you can have that many luxury players. And you do wonder with Talby, what level is he at? Is he a luxury player from Club Bruges? It looks like he is a little bit like that. When you're looking at Club Bruges, I'd be more interested from a winger standpoint, something like Christoph Solis. I've mentioned that before, but I think there's a little bit more combativeness there. I think there's more of a physicality. I know he's a small lad, but defensively he's excellent. And he's obviously played in the Premier League before. You cannot, what I will say is just as a caveat, you cannot afford luxury players. You cannot afford luxury players when you are a bottom level side. In my opinion, you've got to have a player who can. You can't carry anyone. This is why, as I've said multiple times, Oscar Gluck, who was at Salzburg, number 10, but he's a luxury player. Can he do what we need? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. It could be an excellent signing. Guys, we are going to leave it there. Do us a favor, slap us a like on the video. Weren't supposed to do this weekend, but we have done it. We're going to be back Monday with another version of the Room Mill. Maybe something happens as well. Leeds have done stuff on weekends before. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please like the video before you leave, and I'll catch you on the other side, everybody. Check out the second channel if you want a bonus video going out probably in the next however many minutes. It's been an absolute pleasure.